I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championships.
The rivalries, it's up there on top of the list, man. And if we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you. Hey, welcome to Juck on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me. When we talk about a quarterback prospect and we think of all the different attributes we would want in the perfect quarterback prospect, I think most of us kind of have a similar vision in our head. Like 6'5" would be fantastic. Maybe 210 coming out of high school. A kid who has a howitzer for an arm, but touch to be able to kind of layer it in there. Whatever trajectory he needs, can throw into tight windows, back shoulder throws. A kid who has a good feel for the pocket, but can get out and get on his horse when he needs to. And all of those things would be great. Then you would go to intangibles and say, well, I want a kid who's smart, has his head on straight, knows what he wants, has goals, has leadership qualities. And when you go down all those things I just listed, it does not get any closer for a prospect than Brady Edmonds. He's literally the perfect picture for everything I just listed. The only thing that could possibly make it more perfect is if that kid grew up bleeding the scarlet and gray and he wanted to be a Buckeye his whole life. Like, that's it. After that, you've got the perfect prospect. Well, I have talked to you guys plenty of times about the quarterback situation of the future. Some people concerned there's no quarterback currently committed in the 2026 class because all the 2026 guys who are up at the top are already committed somewhere else. Ohio State doesn't really have a habit of going and flipping guys like that. So it looks like it's going to be maybe more of a project type guy, which I'm totally fine with because I feel quite well about the commitment of 5-star Brady Edmonds in 2027. I totally understand that many don't. I totally understand the cynicism when it comes to recruiting because we've seen so much change just even over the last 1 year. You have gone from a time when it was kind of taboo for a committed guy to go take visits elsewhere to expected that they will do that in the course of one cycle. When TJ Alford, Buckeye linebacker TJ Alford, announced his commitment date, the date he was going to commit, he also announced at that same time his official visit list. And those official visits were after the commitment date. And that was like a what the hell is going on here moment, right? That was very early on. And after that, it was every single guy we saw. And it became so common that now it's just expected that a commitment means less and less and less. And we're going to have to ride these things all the way out till signing day in a lot of time, in a lot of cases. And I understand because of that, when we're talking about a 2027 commit, a lot of people are like, that means literally nothing to me. It's so far away. And I generally feel the same way about that too, generally, but there are exceptions. And I'm about to show you one right now, but I'm going to let you go ahead and watch it for yourself. And then you can see why I feel that way when it comes to Brady Edmonds, who will be the Buckeyes quarterback in the class of 2027. I'll let him take it away. A really special quarterback from Huntington Beach, California, Brady Edmonds. Right to it. Joining us now, Brady Edmonds, 5-star quarterback from Huntington Beach, California, committed to the Ohio State Buckeyes class of 2027. Brady, welcome to 10 Questions with Juck.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, buddy. So I want to start off right here because this one really hit me. Your grandfather, from right here where I'm sitting in Summit County, Ohio, where was your dad raised? Was he raised in Ohio too, or did you guys move a couple times to get to California?
No, so he was raised in Southern California as well, kind of actually probably about 10 minutes away from my high school. So, I mean, I'm from Southern California. He's from Southern California. Just that the roots are from Ohio for my grandpa, though.
Okay, so grandpa, I'm sure, passed down a lot to you. One of those things, passion for Ohio State football, but not just like when you're a kid, somebody says, who's your favorite college football team? You say Ohio State. Like, what was a fall Saturday for the Edmonds family?
Yeah, so my dad tells stories growing up, like when they would, if Ohio State would ever lose, it'd be quiet in the house and you'd be doing chores all day long. I mean, not to that extent with us, but I mean, it's definitely quiet and people are definitely upset.
So definitely grew up a big Buckeye fan, following the teams as you've grown up. Who's your favorite Buckeye quarterback growing up as a quarterback out there in Southern California?
I'd probably have to say CJ Stroud just because I feel like I relate to his game more than anybody else. Just, can run the ball, but that's not what you're known for. Known for the arm and just, making the right decisions.
Yeah, you've definitely got some wheels, but man, you got a cannon. And I'm going to show some highlights here when I'm done with this interview. If everybody hasn't seen Brady, my gosh, a rifle on this guy. All right. So one of the goals as you were young, so many people growing up in the state of Ohio have the goal of playing for Ohio State. And you had this goal as well, but you actually had a list of goals that you had written down. I remember reading at one point when you were in like grade school.
Yeah.
And being the Ohio State quarterback was one of your top goals. Where did it rank for you on that list?
I don't think I had them. I didn't rank them by like what I wanted to accomplish for, or what do I want to accomplish more so than the other. I think it was more just like numerical order. But I mean, it's definitely up there. That's always been the dream. I mean, the next goal was after playing at Ohio State was win a national championship and win the Heisman, and then be a first round draft pick. So I mean, it's definitely up there.
So as you start getting recruited, what did it feel like the first time the Buckeyes reached out? I mean, that had to hit a little different than most.
Yeah, I remember I was in biology class my freshman year, and Coach Larkin had texted my head coach, he was one of the assistant quarterback coaches at the time. He's now with the Patriots, but that Coach Kelly planned to coming by soon. I think just days later, I threw for Coach Kelly, and then was down there in the summer, and then got offered. That was my second time down there. I was there going into my freshman year summer. I wasn't really super known at the point. Probably had like 1, 2, 3 offers at that time, but still got to talk to Coach Degg. Coach Dennis was there at the time. Coach Corey Dennis was there at the time, but yeah.
So it's one thing to say, I love this school. I've grown up rooting for this school. That's where I want to go. But it's not always a great fit. It actually seems to me like when I look at your game, when we look at Ohio State, the way the offense plays, Coach Day being a quarterback guy, like it actually seems like this may be one of the best fits in the country for you.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with Coach Hartline there now as well, having the NFL experience he has, being an Ohio State guy, and then obviously the elite recruiter he is with the wide receiver position, and then Coach Locke bringing in the running backs, and then now you got new addition to the O-line, and I think all around offensively, it's just, no other place to be.
Well, you're certainly keeping up. You must watch Juck on Bucks.
Yeah.
We talked not too long before this year's game, and it didn't feel like to me at that point you had a decision imminent. You had like 4 or 5 schools you were still interested in, mostly in the Midwest. Then the game comes, and the 2024 edition of the game is going to go down into history for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
One of them is the brawl, and you were on the field, weren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. So the game finished, and we're down on the field like right when the game's done. There's that's a dog. Sorry about that. But there's Michigan players running up to us saying, "Come to Michigan," this and that, and we're like, but we're down on the field instantly, and then you see everything going on, and you're just like, yeesh, and it was pretty crazy to see firsthand.
I mean, it had to be, man. I was surprised that they didn't cut away from that. They broadcast the whole thing. Obviously, you've seen the highlights since then, but being on the field for that melee, I mean, that thing's going to go down in history. It's going to be every hype game, every hype thing we watch leading into the game for the rest of our lives is going to flash to a scene of that, along with Charles Woodson and David Boston. Like that is going to be there. And you were on the field for that. I can't imagine what my mom would think if I was down there being recruited. Like, oh my gosh. All right. So the game ends, obviously heartbreaking. And the tone around Ohio State with the faithful was, to me, the worst I've ever experienced. And I lived through the Cooper era. And I think that during the Cooper era, there may have been some times where it might have gotten that bad, but social media wasn't around.
Yeah.
And social media has magnified that kind of stuff to a degree that we never could have imagined back then in those days. Obviously, you were aware of the conversation around Coach Day. It was inescapable. And instead of backing away, you jumped in, surprised, committed, shocked me. Was that the original plan you had laid out?
To be honest with you, I felt like I could have committed in June when I got the offer. I felt like that's just, I knew right away that's where I wanted to be. And it kind of, like I started talking to schools less as well. Like I just knew that's where I wanted to go. So I was just kind of waiting until after season, and then obviously my season was done by the team up north game, so I was there. And then going into the weekend, I knew like I was going to commit, and then obviously they lose, and then you're kind of like, oh shoot, and then you see everything on social media saying fire Ryan Day, this and that. So then that kind of gets in your head, and then at the end of the day, I kind of just thought about it, and I'm going there. Obviously, I want to play for Coach Day, obviously, but I'm going there because I want to play at Ohio State. So that's kind of the main reason.
Man, this couldn't go any better for us over here in Ohio. But the Buckeyes obviously then go on the most ridiculous run through a gauntlet we've never seen. I imagine that made you feel not only great as a fan, but pretty darn validated in your decision and in the vote of confidence you showed in that moment.
Yeah.
That had to be a little bit extra special for you watching them do that this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just seeing everything finally come together and just mold, offensively especially, and then the defense, they've been playing great all season long. But yeah, offensively especially, just seeing Will play, at the high level he could play, and Jeremiah getting the ball and everything like that. And I mean, it was really, really fun to watch.
So Chip Kelly, obviously you said you threw for him. He leaves. Coach Hart takes over. None of this feels like it affects you negatively. What are your thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Coach Kelly has been an NFL guy before, so I kind of, I don't want to say I didn't expect him being there by the time I got there, but I knew there was a possibility of that, ended up happening. So Coach Hartline taking over, I mean, awesome for me. Like I said, the recruiting aspect, the NFL experience, the Ohio State experience, and then I mean, Coach Fessler stepping up. I think he did a lot of the quarterback stuff, like the individual quarterback stuff this past year already. So not a huge change for me, just kind of speaking with him more on the regular basis and him being my main guy now. But I mean, nothing, again, I wanted to play at Ohio State, coaching changed. As long as they still want me, it's not going to change a whole lot for me.
Yeah. The feeling, I cover a lot of recruiting, and when I bring you up, obviously, we're talking now about the class of 26. You're a 27.
Yeah.
And a lot of the attitude now in recruiting, like fans of recruiting have become so jaded on commitments because there are so many more decommitments than there ever used to be.
Yeah.
Guys flipping and flopping and taking visits, 5-6 visits right after they commit. And it's just kind of an upside down world anymore with recruiting. So when I talk about you, people are like, that's 2027. That means nothing to me. And that's why I wanted to bring you on. I wanted them to hear, okay, listen from his mouth and you'll understand why I'm so excited. And why I talk about Brady as a future Buckeye quarterback. So really excited about your recruitment, man. Saw you at the Rivals camp last week. You looked fantastic. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, it went really well. I mean, I was named like one of the top quarterbacks or whatever, got some award, but it was really fun to be there, just compete with some of the top guys and such. And the Elite 11 camp will actually be in Ohio for, I think it's like Massillon or something like that.
Oh, Massillon. Okay, cool.
Massillon. Yeah. I think that's April 13th, but I'll be on a visit there the 11th and 12th, and then go to the camp the 13th.
Fantastic. Brady, we appreciate you joining us so much for 10 questions, man. We'll hope to talk to you here soon. Good luck at that camp next time you come to Ohio.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
All right, bud. Talk soon. Now, I'm going to tell you, I had no idea that when I asked him the question about Ryan Day, that he was going to go that direction. The fact that he said, I want to play for Ryan Day, but ultimately I'm going to Ohio State because I want to go to Ohio State. That is so rare. That is so rare to hear that this day and age. We see guys leave school so often when position coaches leave, but a head coach, my gosh, man, that's something. So whatever you came into this, whatever opinion you had coming into this, I'm positive after watching that, if you were on the fence about whether or not he was going to be the quarterback in 2027, you either are really, really close to feeling like, okay, that's a pretty sure thing, or you're like me and you just say, yeah, that's the guy in 2027. And now we get to just enjoy watching him progress throughout his high school career. By the way, still got 2 more years of high school ball. He's got it all. He's got it all. He's the full checklist, and obviously got his head on straight. Definitely got the leadership qualities, got the concise goals. I mean, that's just a dude who's got it all together, and could not be happier to have him in the class. And as a Buckeye fan, that's what we call a stroke of luck right there, guys. So hope you enjoyed Thanks so much to Brady for coming on, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Juck on Bucks out.